Hey y'all, this is Caitlin Albritton of Caitlin Albritton Jewelry, and as part of the American Craft-Made online artist directory in the studio series, I welcome you to my rock lab. So my studio is based out of Tampa, Florida, and it's here that I make all of my playful, wearable mosaics made out of silver and stone for you to adorn yourself like the creative spirit you know you are deep down inside, even if you don't give yourself enough credit for it. Wearing my jewelry, you'll feel as liberated as the emotions that have been released in a Georgia O'Keeffe painting. And speaking of painting, that's actually how I got into jewelry making to begin with. I got my master's and my bachelor's degree in painting and studio art, but I always felt like it was kind of sad that art like that had to live a lonely life indoors, unable to share their beauty with the outside world, unless someone came to visit you. Looking for new inspiration while I was cleaning out my studio, I came across some of the earthy treasures I'd been collecting since I was a young girl. A box of amethysts, garnets, and other colorful gemstones I found on family trips to different states. Now, I've always loved hunting for rocks, and I actually planned all of my trips kind of around what kind of goodies and other treasures we can find there. So I figured, why not combine my passion of painting and rock hounding into a kind of art that you could wear everywhere you go. Because I consider this technique of inlay somewhat of an extension of painting, you can probably imagine that I need, a little bit of material on hand. Actually, it's getting kind of unreasonable how much rocks I have in my studio. For now, I've been storing all of my rock slabs on an old bookshelf because I like having it spread out so I can see all my colors at once. And I actually have it kind of sorted by color, so it makes it easy to pull together a really killer color palette when I'm ready to start cutting my rocks. But before I can get into any of the lapidary work, and lapidary is just the art of cutting stones, all my work literally starts at the drawing board, where I sketch out a million things before picking something that catches my eye. Once I find something I want to turn into an inlay piece, I trace the sketch to work on the sterling silver wire outline for it. I try to spend a lot of time perfecting the curvature of my figures, since to me, the nuances of the body language in my figurative pieces is really determined by those little minute details. Then this is where we can turn up the heat and start lighting things on fire over at my jeweler's bench. While I love painting, torches were never involved, so to me, that's kind of why, metalsmithing kind of beats out painting. But in all seriousness, I think I really just love the hands-on-ness of this process and how it really lends to a little bit more experimental way of doing things. It's here that I do all my metal-related parts of my inlays, like soldering pieces together, sawing things apart, filing and polishing everything before I can start thinking about what colored stones would go best in each slot of my inlay puzzle, so to speak. Picking the colors for each piece is a really important part since, just like with painting, it's what makes the most emotional impact. Sometimes I can mentally see how the stone palette will be pulled together, and other times I end up cutting stones where the color just ended up not meshing with the figure, so I have to kind of recut sections. And that's okay. I actually keep a bag full of all my stone trimmings and pieces that I didn't end up using, so I can upcycle them into other jewelry pieces, since I try to keep a minimal waste studio. Once the colors are picked out, I have a few rock cutting saws I use depending on if I need to cut slabs out of big chunks of boulder or just trimming smaller pieces out of a slab for my jewelry. Then we get to my favorite part, cutting the stones on my Cab King. The wheels on this machine have different grits of diamond used to both cut and polish the stones, from 80 grit upwards of 50,000 mesh. The water helps keep the stones cool so they don't explode and rock shrapnel goes everywhere, and it also helps keep me from inhaling rock dust, since that's not really good for your health. I work my way from left to right along the wheels until the stones go from roughly shaped in rocks to beautifully domed and polished gems. So you probably already know that with traditional jewelry settings, the metal is pushed over the stone to kind of give it like a tight little hug. With inlay jewelry, it's standard practice to cut your stones so they fit very snugly in their little pockets before using a water clear epoxy to set them in place permanently. So that's like a super fast rundown of what takes me like 20 hours to do. But if you'd like to see a little bit more behind the scenes, you can follow me on my Instagram and Facebook accounts. On my YouTube, I have a little bit more in-depth tutorials because I love sharing my techniques to help grow the art of inlay, since it's not really as well known just yet. Then lastly, you can shop all my jewelry collections on my website here. Besides shopping, you can also reach me through my contact form if you have any other questions or if you're interested in doing a commission. I can basically do an inlay of anything you'd like. I also want to highly encourage you to sign up for my VIP list. I often do collection drops with a pre-release just for my VIPs, so you can get your hands on things before anyone else, and I post it on social media. I'll also pop in with other deals too, so you can find that sign up on my website's homepage. I'd like to thank the American Craft Council for hosting these in the studio tours, and I want to give a special thanks to you for coming to visit me virtually at my metalsmithing and lapidary studio today. Thanks again, and bye you guys.